What's up, guys? I look like Jed Clampett with a pitchfork. Anyways, guys, I'm not supposed to be out here fishing, so don't tell anybody, all right? Because the doctor says I don't want to catch you out on the beach fishing. So anyways, my arm is getting better. I've got about another week. Next weekend I should be able to get out here and fish. Actually, I'm doing it right now, but just don't tell anybody. But anyways, today this video is going to be about catching pompano. Since the pompano season is about to start probably in another 2 or 3 weeks, as soon as we get a couple of cold fronts come through and the water temperature drops down, we start getting a lot of pompano that come up close to shore in the first and second and third gut, depending on the water clarity. So I'm going to go over some things that you need to catch these pompano, to target pompano. By far, pompano is by far one of my favorite fish to eat. Now, I don't keep the pompano that I usually catch, and there's a reason behind that. But flounder is my favorite, and then pompano would be next. So list in the comments what your favorite fish is. Surf fishing or off the jetties or off piers, not offshore, just in the surf, jetties, and piers. List it below and tell me what your number one fish is and your number two fish is. First of all, we're going to get this line out in the water to see if there's any pompano out here, because conditions are perfect. Water temperature is 85, a little too warm for pompano, but they do come in clear water in warm temperatures. So let's see what we can do. Let's get this out there, and then I'll talk to you a little bit more about it. Every year, we have what's called pompano season, if you want to call it a pompano run or whatever. It's not like the redfish coming out of the Gulf, or I mean coming out of the bays into the Gulf. When the water temperature starts to drop, you start to get, pompano anywhere from, a half a pound up to 6.25 pounds coming into the surf zone. And the cooler the water, the better the pompano fishing is going to be. Now, pompano will usually go back out in the deeper waters when the water temperature drops below 55 degrees or it gets higher than 85 degrees. The sweet spot for catching pompano is going to be between 65 and 70 degrees. That's the water temperature. Like I said, you can catch them all year round, but you're not going to catch as many in the summertime as you would in the winter months. Anyways, you want the currents coming from south to north most times, and the wind coming out of the southeast. But in the wintertime, a lot of times we get northeastern winds, and we get the current running from north to south. I haven't had any problems catching pompano right after a cold front comes through, or like right before it hits. Now, I don't catch as many pompano as the other guys that are down here that have YouTube channels, because I specifically usually don't target pompano. So if you're targeting pompano, there's going to be a few things that you're going to have. You don't want to come down here without them. And you don't want to come down here without fish bites. If you come down here, you want to go to Academy or you want to go to your local bait store and get you some fish bites. This is easy shrimp. You want to have shrimp, but my favorite ones are going to be easy crab, since pompano usually feed on crabs, clams, coquina clams, sand fleas, and stuff like that. They're bottom feeders. So you want to have some easy crab for sure. You want to have easy flea for sure. And then you can have easy shrimp as well. That works well. But easy flea, sand flea, and coquina clam is usually the one that works best for me. And you've got all kinds of flavors, but coquina clam, if you could find it, it's hard to find. It's really good down here. So you're probably asking, what are coquina clams? Well, a lot of times when the surf washes out, you'll see these little teeny shells. They're real small, and they'll bury themselves back into the sand. If you ever drive down the beach, for example, you're on Padre Island National Seashore, and you happen to see a lot of coquina clams all over the beach in front of you, that is a really good indication of where you need to stop and throw some rods out for pompano. So as you're going down the beach, you need to pay attention to things like that. So make sure you have your fish bites. That's number one. And then stop and get you some fresh shrimp. You don't really need fresh shrimp, but it's good to tip the hook with some fresh shrimp after you put the fish bites on. Now these things can be used multiple times. A lot of times you'll bring in a pompano and you still have your bait, and you can cast right back out there and catch more fish with the same bait. All right, now that you've got your fish bites, you want to get you a good pompano rig. You don't want to use just a single hook, guys. You want to use dual hooks always when you're fishing for pompano or whiting, because a lot of times you're going to bring in two pompano or two whiting. So I would always suggest some good pompano rigs. You can buy them on Amazon. The ones that are on Amazon look like this right here from Tackle Crafters. Now, a good pompano rig is going to cost you anywhere from $2, $2.99 a piece, up to $7 a piece. But Tackle Crafters, if you want to buy them before you get down here online, then you got what's called the Rattle rig, all right? And the rigs, these little floats, they rattle as it moves in the surf. Now, a lot of people will tell you, even experienced surf fishermen will tell you that that floats don't matter when it comes to pompano and stuff like that. I beg to differ. I think floats do matter because the color, you know, them seeing it will attract them to it, and especially if you got rattles inside your floats, that's going to create noise. It's the same thing as having a popping cork, you know, when you're fishing back in the bays or you're using it in the surf and you're popping it, making that noise. Fish get attracted to that noise. Now, it is true that pompano feed from the bottom. What these are going to do is they're going to put the bait still on the bottom or in the water column to where the fish are. So your bait will be on the bottom and then it'll float up a little bit off the bottom because of the currents and stuff like that. So Rattle rig, they're kind of expensive, but they work really well. Now, you also got the ones from Breakaway Tackle as well that have a couple, I think it has one float and a couple of beads and stuff like that. Now, there's a lot of people that swear by Breakaway Tackle pompano rigs, and I'll show you what they look like when you have them undone. You know, you got your this is a single hook. I grabbed the wrong one. No, the Breakaway Tackle ones come with 2 rigs per pack. And then you got custom ones that you can make yourself. I did not make these. I had somebody make me a whole bunch of these. And you can see I used bright orange and silver beads and stuff like that. So you gotta have pompano rigs. I wouldn't just go with a single hook. I mean, you could still catch pompano, but I think you'd have better luck having 2 pieces of fish bites out there rather than 1. So get yourself some good pompano rigs and make sure you have a bunch of them, because there are puffer fish out here that will just literally shred these pompano rigs with their big human-like teeth. So have you, you know, 5, 6, 7, or even a dozen pompano rigs when you come down here on vacation or on the weekend. Now let's discuss the weights you want to use. I don't really care for these things, but if you have them, use them. Depends on a calm day like this, I would usually use pyramid weights. And I won't use a 4 ounce. Today I would use probably a 3 ounce, and that's what I would use today. But on days when the surf is really, you know, popping, the currents are popping, I use Breakaway Tackle weights, which you could spin this around and it will stick in the sand, and they cast really well. A pyramid weight casts really well. These things here, they don't really, I mean, these things bend, they rust, they break off. So to me, you're wasting your money. You might as well get some good weights. Now, depending on your rig, if you're fishing for pompano, you don't want to go really heavy duty. So you shouldn't, you know, this is a 5, no, this is a 3. So on a bad surf day, I'll run a 3 or a 4. Every once in a while, I have to run a 6, but you want to have you some good good weights. That way you can get out there in distance if the pompano aren't in close. So have you some good weights. And we've already discussed the baits, but I'm going to show you one more bait that's excellent and probably better than fish bites or shrimp. One of the best baits that you could use for pompano is called ghost shrimp. We don't have sand fleas here like Florida does. Florida has some really large sand fleas, and that's what they use down there to catch you know, a lot of pompano. We don't have that here. So we do have ghost shrimp, and the way you find ghost shrimp, I'm gonna let you know here in a second. But this is just a normal $20. You could probably make one of these yourself. But these are about 20 bucks. They do have some real nice ones at Roy's Tackle that are stainless steel that are probably about 70 or 80 bucks. So if you plan on coming down here, a lot of you live down here, then you might want to get one of those because it'll probably last longer. But anyways, you take this and you find these little mounds. You're gonna find little mounds in the surf. There's one right there. There's another one. There's a whole bunch of them here. And then what you want to do is put this thing over top of it, kind of push it down and then pull up and spit the sand out here. Make sure you have a ghost shrimp pump, guys, when you come down here and you're looking for pompano. Now, I don't know exactly when these ghost shrimp start disappearing, but I think they start disappearing in the winter months and don't show back up till late spring. So get it while you can. If you're coming down here in the next couple of months, you know, October and maybe a little bit in November, they may still be here, and you could use ghost shrimp as well, because to me that works a lot better than fish bites. And you not only can catch pompano, but if there's a red or a drum or any kind of fish out there, you can end up hooking one of those too. So I'm gonna reel this rod in, guys, and show you how much fish bites you need to put on your hook. You don't need a whole lot because pompano and whiting, they have small mouths because apparently there's nothing out there. But I think it's slack tide time right now. But anyway, you just want to put a little piece like that. Notice, it's just a little piece. And then if you want to, you could top it with some fresh shrimp and use some bait elastic to put around it to hold it on there. I don't really care to use bait elastic, so what I'll do is I'll salt some shrimp, and then I'll use a little piece of salted shrimp on here. I'll put the video to how to salt your shrimp underneath this this video in the description. You guys let me know what your best way of catching pompano, how you like to do things, whether you use bait elastic or you just don't use shrimp at all. Let me know down in the comments for those of you that fish for pompano. So the kind of rods you want to use down here, guys, is you want to have at least a rod that is over, I would say 12 foot, but a lot of people use 10 footers. So right here, the one I just casted out, I bought other long rods that I couldn't stand. They were real flimsy on the end. This breakaway tackle rod is, you know, it's expensive, but it's well worth the money. It's sturdy. It's not gonna be real flimsy on the end. And you can cast some distance with these things. So I would highly recommend breakaway ballista rods, 12 foot, if you're gonna come down here after pompano. Now, especially during the winter months so you don't have to get in the water. Now, I don't really care for long rods, most of you guys know that, but I still use them just to put one out there, and I'll use them this winter. But I like 8-foot rods, like the Penn Spin Fisher or the Penn Battle 3s with 20-pound test line, and I'll usually run a pompano rig with whatever setup, you know, a pompano rig on these, and I'll cast them out there. I'll cast one in the first gut, one in the second, and so on and so on. And these are the type of rods that I prefer to catch pompano on, because you actually get to feel the action, and much better than reeling in a pompano on a long rod. A long rod, you're pretty much just dragging the pompano in. Now, these are really good too. These are really lightweight setup here. This is the Waterloo Salinity with a Cast King, I think it's a 2500 reel. And if the pompano are in close, they're like the first gut, because you can't really put a whole lot of weight on these. If they're in the first gut, this is perfect, dude. You could really feel those pompano when you're reeling them in. They put up a pretty good fight on something like this. And I think I'm running 8 to 10 pound test on that, and 20 on that, and I think 30 on the long rod with a 50-pound leader line or something like that, or 30 pound. But anyways, it makes a big difference on what you use. Cold days, or when the water's dirty up close and the clean water's, you know, past the third gut or further, you want to be using long rods to get out there in that clean water, because you're rarely ever going to catch a pompano in dirty, sandy water. So take advantage of it if you see that it's clean water. A lot of times they're 10, 15, 20 feet right offshore in the first gut. Kind of set one in the first gut, one in the second, one in between, and a long rod a little bit further out. And then if you start picking up some pompano, then you start moving all your rods in that general location, because I'm telling you, you could be 15 feet away from somebody that's reeling in pompano left and right, and not catch anything, but the guy next to you is catching pompano left and right. It's all about location, guys. He could be fishing in a cut in between where the waves are breaking, and then in the middle there's no waves breaking. That's called a cut, and he could have his lines in that cut where you're over here, you know, a good distance away from the cut, and that's why he's catching those fish. Also, there could be a lot of coquina clams in this area where he's at, and none over in your area. So there's a lot of reasons why he's catching fish and you're not. So it's all about location. So when you, like I've always said, when you come on the beach, whether it be Padre Island, Port Aransas beaches, or Newport Pass, Packery Channel, Mustang Island beaches, or anything, when you come on the beach, you have to find the fish. You can't just pull up on the beach and just throw your rods in or your lines in and think that you're just gonna catch pompano left and right. If you get lucky, that might happen. And I've gotten lucky like that, but not too often. You literally have to read the beach. And what you have to do is you have to find points, cuts, what's called washouts. Rip tides are really good. And all kinds. You just need to be able to read the beach. If you can read the beach, you're gonna have a successful day on catching pompano and other fish too, redfish and trout. So you got to learn how to read the beach. I know a lot of you come down here with kids and family and they just want to get on the beach and just play in the sand and play in the water. If you're coming down here fishing, you need to use your eyes and drive. Just tell your wife, I'm gonna drive down the beach a little bit and find the right spot. Don't let her know it's for fishing. Just let her know you're gonna find the right spot, a perfect spot. And just watch the ocean. You could see there's one area out there that the waves are not breaking over there. And that's the kind of stuff you got to look for. You know, if you come to the beach and you see a lot of coquina clams, which right here, I don't know if those are coquina clam shells or whatever, but it's usually right on the water's edge is where you'll see them. But I haven't seen any. But if you pull up on the beach and you see a lot of coquina clams just piled up where the water's going back out, you need to fish directly right in front of that. Also, if you pull up and you see water coming in this one spot, maybe all the way up here, but nowhere else is coming in and then it's going back out, you need to stop and fish there as well. So you got to pay attention to the fish. I seen in Nick from Breakaway Channel's video, he's not a fisherman, he's a hunter. That's true if you're fishing, surf fishing. But that's how you target pompano and find pompano and stuff like that. And I'm going to tell you, the best place to catch pompano is always going to be Padre Island National Seashore. Now, where I'm at, Newport Beach area, towards Mustang Island, I've caught a bunch of pompano up in this area. And my sister actually caught her personal best pompano up near Port Aransas, south of the Port Aransas jetty. I want to say 88 mile marker, 89 mile marker is where she caught her personal best pompano. Now, I used to catch a lot of pompano up here in Newport Pass, but I haven't caught any in a while. Down near Fish Pass jetties, a couple blocks from the jetties, used to be a good pompano spot as well. But Padre Island National Seashore, south, guys, as far south as you can go, where the water starts getting deeper off the beach and the currents get a little bit rougher down there and the water's usually a little bit cleaner, is where you're going to probably have the best luck in pompano. October, late October, maybe after second week, November, December, January, and February. So you got 5 months of prime pompano fishing. And if you haven't eaten pompano, it's some of the best fish you can eat besides flounder. I like flounder better, but pompano's right up there. So make sure if you guys are catching a lot of pompano, man, only keep what you can use. You know, if you freeze those things, they're not gonna taste as good as they would as soon as you get them home and clean them. So if you're not gonna eat them that night, throw them back in. That way they populate. If they're small, don't keep them. Throw them back in and let them grow. So that's another thing. If you're going for pompano, you need to make sure there's some current and there's an outgoing tide or an incoming tide, some kind of water movement and stuff like that. You definitely don't want to go during a slack tide because you're just going to be sitting there, and if you drink beer, you're going to get drunk by the time the fish start biting. So make sure that you don't go to a slack tide. Now, first thing I want to do is bring up my Patreon page like I always do in the videos, because I think it's very important, the information that's on there that might benefit some of you guys. So the fishing report, the Coastal Bend fishing report, which covers the entire area, has been updated 3 times this week, and it was updated just this morning. So if you're interested in the fishing report, it's less than $2 a month if you sign up for a full year. And if you don't want to sign up for monthly, it's $2 a month. So you can't beat that. For $3 a month, you get everything else. All how to catch the fish species and all that, you get that. So check out the Patreon page. I'll put the link in the description. Also check out our Facebook page. It's growing, and the month ain't even over. We've had 1.5 million people visit our Facebook page. That's a lot of people. I wish that was going on my YouTube channel. But it's got all kinds of information about this whole entire area, like the pink meanies washing up on shore. It's got everything you need to know about that jellyfish. Sometimes I'll post fishing articles about different fish and stuff on there. And I always do the free daily surf conditions that are not as detailed as the ones that are on Patreon, but I do that every day on Facebook and YouTube community section. If you haven't checked out the community section, you need to check it out. Beautiful day on the beach, and we're gonna let you guys go. Peace, and we'll see you next video.